When she first got control of the Star Wars universe years ago, Kathleen Kennedy gave interviews, and I think in at least one of them, one of her famous quotes was that, Disney Lucasfilm under her leadership, one of the things they wanted to do was to protect, these characters, the OG Star Wars characters and their legacy. But she was totally lying. Or after she said that, she totally changed her mind. And, I don't think she really likes Star Wars or what it stands for, because a big part of what makes Star Wars great is those original characters. Luke, Han, Leia, Lando, C-3PO, Chewbacca, R2-D2. And throughout the entire sequel trilogy series, those characters have been heavily de-emphasized for the most part. I mean, Han Solo was important in The Force Awakens, and the young version of him got his own solo movie. Leia was kind of important in the first two movies, and Luke was important in The Last Jedi, but he was used in The Last Jedi to be completely wrecked and destroyed. And Lando showed up in The Rise of Skywalker, but for the most part, they didn't really do that much. They didn't interact with each other that much at all. Like, maybe sometimes we'd get two of them talking to each other, but we never got like the whole gang back together again, which the fans would have loved. And for the most part, all these original characters, at least the human ones, were shadows of their former selves, right? I mean, they were all broken and like bitter, or just they didn't behave with the same zest that they had when we saw them in the original trilogy. Now, you could say it's because, they're getting older, and, when people are in their 60s or whatever, they're not like they were in their 20s and 30s or whatever. But that's not all. I mean, you don't have to believe that. I'm just saying that's a reason people might give an excuse. But I don't think that's the reason at all. I mean, I think that Kathleen Kennedy and Disney Lucasfilm made a conscious effort to de-emphasize these characters. All the old school Star Wars protagonists kicked them to the curb, so to speak, or marginalized them. And if Kathleen Kennedy cared about protecting the legacy of these characters and the legacy of Star Wars and continuing it, she wouldn't have done that, right? I mean, I think that her behavior overall as the leader of Disney Lucasfilm, she's led it in the way that someone would lead it if they didn't like Star Wars or didn't understand it or just wanted to change it to something else. I think that she and Bob Iger knew, or maybe they didn't know, that if they had had the old gang back together again for at least one movie, people would have loved that. And they could have properly ushered in a new era and passed the torch to these younger heroes more smoothly and cleanly in a way more of us fans would have liked. But they didn't do that for some mysterious, unfathomable, bizarre reason. And because of that reason, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy does like Star Wars or care about it, or at least she didn't like it as it was. She felt she had to change it. But, if she did want to change it, she should have just got the old band back together again one last time before making those changes. So I think that when she said she wanted to protect the characters or the legacy, she was flat out lying for the camera, for PR. I mean, she knew that a lot of old school Star Wars fans were watching that video or would have gotten that quote, so she didn't want to say to them point blank, yeah, I'm not really interested in these old characters. I'm going to phase them out. She knew like the PR blowback would have been horrible. So, maybe she was just saying what she needed to say to look good for the camera, but behind the scenes it was a different story. But I think that if Kathleen Kennedy actually liked Star Wars and cared about it, the real Star Wars, this sequel trilogy would have been handled completely differently. With, all these old characters not being wrecked or pushed to the side or not even talking to each other that much like they did in the old days. I know people can grow apart as time goes on, and the friends you had in your 20s and 30s may not be the same as the ones you have when you're in your 60s or 70s or whatever. So, I'll give you that. But this is a cinematic universe, a franchise that was built on the backs of these characters being a certain way, and to get them all back again and really not make them the central focus of at least one movie or the franchise as a whole as they pass the torch to these new people was a huge mistake. And somebody who actually loved and cared about Star Wars and its characters would have known better. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.